Hello, my name is Aaron. I do rants and reviews, and this is a Moto Z4. I got not one, not two, but 8 different Moto mods for it, and I'm really excited to take a look at each and every one and let you know whether or not I think they're worth it today, because let's be real here, the Moto Z4 is a nearly 3-year-old device at this point, so no one's going to be buying this solely for the phone. You're going to buy it for the mods. Now, if you're not familiar with the Moto Z4, I'm not going to do a full review of the phone itself at this time, but I may do that later, so be sure to subscribe if you have not already. But essentially, it was a modular phone by Motorola. It lasted 4 generations, the last one being the Moto Z4 in 2019. And essentially the way it works is that there's these pins here that connect with the mod, and you just snap it on like that. It connects with a magnet and you are good to go. There's no Bluetooth or anything like that. It just connects automatically, which is really nice, is that you don't have to deal with pairing or anything like that. It just works. So that's the way that works. And now let's go over the different mods. We're gonna start with some of the less exciting ones and work our way up to the more fancy gadgets. So the least exciting is this style shell. Which, exactly as the name implies, is purely for style. It doesn't connect or sync up with anything, just goes on the back right there and makes your phone look a little bit nicer. This is a wood grain texture, but you could get a bunch of different colors. Do note that it does not protect the edge of your phone, so if you want complete coverage, you'll need something like this, which is a bumper case that just slots on there like so. And that would allow you to theoretically still use mods, although not all mods are compatible with this bumper case. But that's the style shell, pretty unexciting, but nice if you want a little bit of added protection on your phone, especially considering this back is glass. So yeah, that's the style shell. It was available in several colors. They also made a folio version, which is really hard to come by, but it essentially turns it into a wallet. Next up, we have the battery pack. So several different companies made different versions, and they all charge via USB-C, just like the phone itself. So a lot of mods will have their own battery. So the battery mod just snaps on the back like that and can essentially double your battery life, which is really great if you're traveling or you just don't have access to a charger. So there were different versions of this. Surprisingly, this phone does not have wireless charging, although some of the battery charging mods did have that feature, but they're relatively expensive. So today, if you want to get wireless charging, you're going to have to spend about twice as much as a normal battery mod to get that luxury feature there, which is not included in the phone itself. But this is a good one, so I would say definitely get this one if you are going to get the phone. It's just always nice to have this as backup, and it's a lot more convenient than having to carry around an entire extra battery tank or a brick or anything like that. It's a lot more convenient than that. So that one's definitely a keeper, and they're not terribly expensive to this day. So we've taken a look at those. Next up, let's take a look at the speaker, which sounds boring because, yeah, it's just a speaker. But this is JBL, so it's really good quality. And they made 2 different versions. This is the 2nd generation. It's got a little kickstand that pops out that is metal. And it'll just sit right there and give you some really good sound. Unfortunately, I can't play anything because I'd get flagged to heck and back. But just believe me that the sound is much better than the single speaker that you get on the phone itself. And it does have access to a camera slot there. There's also an Amazon Echo speaker, which is kind of similar. And the reviews say it has about the same sound quality, but that one will block your camera. So just something to note if you get the Alexa Amazon one. So there's that. So that's the speaker. Let's move on to some of the cameras. Now, the first up here, this is the Moto 360 camera. So this one does not have a built-in battery. So just like the Style Shell, it just attaches, but it doesn't have any power. But it does have a little button on the back here. This is the shutter button, so it allows you to easily press the shutter. It also comes with a little slip cover for the lens. And this allows you to shoot 360 video and photos, which is really great if you are into that sort of thing, or if you do any sort of Google Maps, stuff like that. And most phones have a 360 photo feature, but you usually have to play phone gymnastics to get the whole kind of range of vision. This allows you to do that in a single snap, which is brilliant. So this is definitely worth it if those kind of lifestyle shots or photography things are your thing. It's not very expensive at this time, so it's one of the cheaper mods. Definitely worth picking up if you like doing fun videos and 360 stuff like that. Moving on to the printer. So this is a Polaroid printer. I say printer because it's technically a thermal printer. The ink's already in the paper. It's weird. It uses these little zinc packets, which are incredibly wasteful. You get 10 per pack, and I really just wish they made larger packs, because it's not like film in that any exposure will wreck the photos. You can expose this to sunlight and it's totally fine. You can open it up and do whatever you want. It's not going to damage it because, again, it's a thermal, it's essentially thermal paper, thermal activated ink is what it is essentially. And this one is okay. It's a fun novelty. The papers are stickers as well, so if you're into scrapbooking or stuff like that. But this is probably more geared towards the college youth crowd of people who use Instax printers and stuff like that. So I enjoy this. It's a fun novelty, and it's nice to be able to just have a printer that works without having to, again, sync up with Bluetooth or anything. It does have a built-in battery, but it doesn't last very long in my opinion. So I would recommend this one if you know that you're gonna have fun printing pictures of yourself or your friends and family. But if you don't do that already, I don't think this is going to turn you into that kind of person. So probably just hold off on that if you don't take a lot of pictures. The last camera is probably the most exciting one, and this is the Hasselblad. I probably butchered that. Hasselblad True Zoom. So as you can see here, it covers up your real camera. This one does not have a built-in battery, so it's just powered by the phone. You snap it on there, and then you get this. You get a 10 times optical zoom. So that is real zoom times 10. So really cool to have this feature on a camera. And this one just feels really nice and high quality overall. It just feels really good quality, doesn't feel cheap. It even comes with a really nice velvety case to put it in, which is of course so that you do not damage your lens. So it'll slip right in there, so you can feel like a professional photographer. Now this one I really like, but I have one hiccup with it. And it's not about the mod itself, but rather the phone. So this will take really great quality pictures. However, if you use the default photo app on here, which is Google Photos, then most likely they're going to back up in a lower quality. Now you can change that to original quality and it will take up more space, obviously. But basically, if you want to get the most use out of this, you're going to have a lot of space available for photos or manually transfer them by linking it up to a PC. But of course, if you are more of a professional photographer, then that won't be a deal breaker for you because you're probably used to doing that with your regular camera. But for a normal person who just wants to use a fancy camera to shoot some pictures and then share them with their friends on social media, you're not going to get, sorry, I forget that it makes that noise. It's so satisfying. But anyway, so you're not going to get the full use out of this if you're just using it to share pictures online, because those images are going to get compressed. So you'll look cool, but you're not going to get the full use out of it unless you specifically back up those original quality pictures, which you can do. It's just a little bit of a hassle depending on how you choose to back them up. So I would definitely recommend this one if you are into any sort of light photography. Obviously, like if you're a professional camera, this is not going to replace that. If you're a professional camera, my goodness, I've clearly been up too late. If you are a professional photographer, this is not going to replace your main camera. But if you dabble a bit, like I do, I dabble in many things, then this is really cool and it's fun to take out places. And that 10 times zoom, the 10 times optical zoom is really worth it. It's crystal clear. The one thing you got to make sure is to stabilize the camera, because it will get pretty shaky with that 10 times zoom. And there is unfortunately no post at the bottom here to mount it to a tripod. There's no thread like you would expect to find on a typical camera, which is unfortunate. I feel like they could have squeezed one in there, but there is not. So that's the true zoom there. Moving on to the Moto Gamepad. So that's this one right here. And this one just looks cool. I mean, it's basically a mini Switch, right? So you'll sync it up right there. It does have some lights right there. The Lenovo logo. I guess it's the Lenovo gaming logo. It reminds me a lot of the old, what was it? Reminds me a lot of this PC. Remember that? Remember when gaming all-in-ones were going to be a thing? Yeah, they're not. Anyway, so you attach it like so, and it essentially turns your phone into a mini Switch. It's got a D-pad. It's got some nice joysticks. They both click. 2 shoulder buttons on each side, and 4 standard buttons there, plus start, select, home. And this is great quality, but the problem with this one is, again, not necessarily the device itself, but the games. There really aren't a lot of games, at least that I tried to look for games that use controller support, and not many of them had it. Maybe Fork Knife does, or whatever the cool kids play these days. But I honestly couldn't find too many uses for this, which is a shame because it feels really nice in the hand. And it's just a shame that a lot of games don't support controllers on Android. So I'm sure if you are part of the crowd that likes to emulate things, this would be perfect. If you are able to get that to work on emulated games, this would probably be a dream come true. But as it is, unfortunately, as cool as this is, and it's not terribly expensive, but I would say pass on the Gamepad unless there's a specific Android game that you want to game on that has controller support. This one does have a built-in battery. It also has a headphone jack, which is nice since it covers up the headphone jack on the existing phone when you put it in there. So it's nice to be able to have that charges via USB-C again, just like the rest of them. And that brings us to our final mod here, which is the Moto insta-share Projector. So we had a printer, and now we have a projector. Also, I forgot to note that some of the mods have little battery tests. So you can just press this here, and it'll tell you the battery status of it, like this. It'll tell you, so you can just press that little button. Also, it'll tell you the battery percentage when you attach it to the phone. Again, for those mods that have a battery. So the projector has a battery, And this one is really cool. So it says it's supposed to go up to 70 inches. Obviously the quality is going to vary based on how far you go. It has automatic or manual keystone adjustment. But to get the best picture quality, I've noticed that you want to have it as level as possible, which makes sense because when it's projecting out just at a right angle, it doesn't have to adjust the keystone or anything, so it's using the full capacity of the projector. Whereas if you put it up at an angle, it then has to adjust that, and so the amount of space that it's using is smaller. I don't know if that made any sense, but it makes sense when you see it. And it works well, definitely best in low lights like most projectors. So if you have a wall or even a ceiling, you can just angle it up and project away. The projector still works when the screen is off, which is nice. So it'll conserve a bit of the battery that way. And the projector has about enough juice in it for one full-length 2-hour movie, I'd say. But again, works best in low light. And I would definitely recommend this if you are the kind of person that likes to take your movies to different people's houses and just be able to throw on a movie wherever you are. But most people, I think, would probably just default to their TV. But this is a nice addition for traveling, things like that, or just like, I don't know, any occasion where it would just be fun to have a drive-in movie. So that is the Moto Projector, and I think that covers all of the mods here. So let me know your thoughts about the Moto Z and its mods in the comments. Are there any mods that I don't have that you have that you think are cool? Which mod is your favorite? Let me know, have a discussion in the comments, and I hope to see you again in another video. Take care, bye.